Daf Yomi Tractate Bava Batra, page 170, top of the page, with the words Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel Savar, Ein Osios Niknos b'Masira, Rabbi Savar, Osios Niknos b'Masira. The Gemara explains this is a case where one party sold land to another, who then sold it to a third party by transferring the bill of sale to him. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel holds that the letters are not acquired by transferring possession of the document. Handing the bill to the third party is therefore not a valid act of acquisition. In order to establish that the land is his, one must prove presumptive ownership by demonstrating that he has lived in the land uncontested for 3 years. And Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi holds that the letters are acquired by transferring possession of the document. Therefore, if the third party produces the bill of sale that had been transferred to him, this is sufficient proof that the land is his. Amar le Abaye im kain plukta le demar Amar le v'tiflog. Abaye objected and said to Rav Dimi, if that is so, that Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel holds that letters are not acquired by transferring possession of the bill of sale, this would be in disagreement with what the master, Rabbah, said earlier, that Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel maintains that letters are acquired by transferring possession of the bill of sale. Rav Dimi said back to him, and let it be in disagreement. I'm not obligated to be in agreement with Rabbah. Amar le hachi kamina lach masnisa lo mitarza ela kedi mitarza mar im kain kashi Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel ad Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. Abaye clarified his objection and said to him, this is what I meant to say to you. The Braita 168b, which Rabbah was explaining, can be explained only the way the master, being Rabbah, explained it. If so, if you do not agree with Rabbah's understanding of the opinion of Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, there is difficulty, as there is a contradiction between one statement of Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel and the other statement of Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel. Rather, Abaye said that the explanation of the Braita concerning one who appears before a court could be to be judged is as follows. With what are we dealing here? We are dealing with a case where one of the witnesses signed on the bill was found to be relative to one of the parties, or he was found to be disqualified from bearing witness for another reason, and therefore the document is rendered invalid. Ubi plukta de Rabbi Meir Rabbi Elazar kamefili Rabbi Sofer la ke Rabbi Elazar de Amar e de Mesira Karti. Abaye continues, and the two opinions in the Braita disagree with regard to the issue that is the subject of the dispute between Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Elazar. Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi holds in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Elazar, who says the witnesses of the transmission of the document affect the transaction, meaning that the witnesses are not required to be signed on the document at all, provided that there are witnesses who saw the transfer of the document to the relevant party. It is therefore inconsequential that one of the witnesses that signed the document is disqualified. This is why Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi says that the claim is judged based on the deed, meaning the deed is valid. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel Sofer Lach Rabbi Meir D'Amar Ede Chasima Karsi. And Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel holds in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Meir, who says that the signatory witnesses on the document affect the transaction, meaning that it is necessary for a document to have witnesses sign it. If there are no witnesses, or if one or both of them are disqualified, the document is not valid, even if its transmission is witnessed by qualified witnesses. This is why Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel says that the claim is judged based on the claimant's presumptive ownership. This is his only valid proof, since the deed he possesses is not valid. The Gemara objects to Abaya's explanation, but doesn't Rabbi Abba say that Rabbi Elazar concedes that in the case of a document whose falsification is inherent in that it is not valid? Rabbi Elazar said only that a document that has no witnesses signed on it at all is valid if its transmission was witnessed. If the document has disqualified witnesses, he agrees it is not valid. Ela Amar Rabbi Avina Hakol Modim Sheim Kasubo Huskaknu Leedusan Shireidim Yimtzeis Yedusan Mizuyefes Shu Basel Kede Rabbi Abba Lo Nechleku Ela Bishtar She'ein Alav Edim Klal. The Rabbi Savar Rabbi Elazar the Amar Edi Mesir Karti Ede Mesir Karti Ede Mesir Karti. Let's see here. Ede Mesir Karti would be 1029. Okay. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel Savar Karamer Damar Ede Chasima Karti. 1029 verses 1177. Okay. But rather, Rabbi Avina said in modification of Abaya's explanation, all concede that if it is written in document, we, the court, engaged in an investigation of the testimony of the witnesses, and have determined that they signed the document and their testimony is found to be false, the document is not valid in accordance with the statement of Rabbi Abba. They disagree only with regard to a document upon which there are no witnesses signed at all, as Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi holds, in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Elazar, who says the witnesses of the transmission of the document affect the transaction. Signatory witnesses are not necessary, and the deed can therefore be used as proof. And Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel holds in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Meir, who holds the signatory witnesses on the document affect the transaction, so the deed cannot be used. Therefore, the only valid proof would be based on his presumptive ownership. Okay. The Gemara suggests wow. The Gemara suggests, Eifo, Anachni. Where are we? The Gemara suggests, and if the Gemara suggests, and if you wish to say instead, the case in the Batra is one where the alleged purchaser has a bill of sale of the land, but the alleged seller, although he admits that the document was written with his consent, claims that the sale did not ultimately occur, and that the alleged purchaser took the document from him. And the Tanaim in the Batra disagree with regard to the halacha in the case of a debtor who admits that he wrote a promissory note, whether the creditor is required to ratify it in court in order to collect, and by extension, in a case where the seller admits that he wrote a bill of sale, whether the purchaser must ratify it in court in order to establish its validity. The Rabbi Savar, Mode Bishtabuk Shikasu in Tzarech L'Chemoy, Rabbi Shimon Begamil Savar, Tzarech L'Chemoy. As Rabbi Yehoshua holds that in the case of a debtor who admits that he wrote a promissory note, the creditor is not required to ratify it in court in order to collect what is owed to him. In this case as well, the purchaser can use the bill of sale as proof that he is the rightful owner of the property, and Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel holds that in the case of a debtor who admits that he wrote a promissory note, the creditor is required to ratify it in court in order to use it to collect the debt. This case as well, since the purchaser is unable to ratify it, his only recourse to prove his ownership is showing that he lived in the land uncontested for 3 years. אדוקים בשטר, מה ואומר שלי הוא ונפל ממנו מטסו ולא ואומר שלך הוא ופרטיב לך יסקיים השטר בכל יסמב דברי רבי שמעון בן גמליאל אומר יחלוקו דברי רבי, and then Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel Omer Yachloku. Okay. The Gemara asks, but didn't we hear the opposite concerning Rabbi Yehoshua and Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, as it is taught in a Braita, Tosefta Bava and C18, if two people, the debtor and the creditor, are grasping a promissory note, and the creditor says it is mine, and the debtor has not yet paid, and it fell from me, and you, the debtor, found it, and the debtor says, it is in fact yours, I did borrow the money from you, but I paid you, and was given the promissory note, and it fell from me, and you found it. The promissory note must be ratified through its signatories, even though the debtor admits that it is a valid document. This is the statement Rabbi Yehoshua. See, Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel says they should divide the amount written in the promissory note, means the debtor must pay half of the recorded sum to the creditor. V'hain havin ba Leslie the Rabbi ha Litnan Shneim Achsem Metalis Zemanim Ziv Zemanim Ziv Yeshava Shein Lo Ba Pachos Micheskia V'Zeh Yeshava Shein Lo Pachos Micheskia B'Chogu. Gemara explains, and we discussed it once before, and asked the following question about it. But doesn't Rabbi Yehoshua agree to that which we learned in the Mishnah, Bava 2a, with regard to two people who came to a court holding a garment, where this one is saying, I found it, and that one's saying, I found it, and this one takes an oath that he does not have claim to less than half of it, and that one takes an oath, and he does not have claim to less than half of it, and they divide it. And why does Rabbi Yehoshua not maintain that in a case where the debtor and creditor are grasping a promissory note, there too they should divide the money? Amar Rava, one of Nachman b'mkuyam d'chuliyam b'palgi d'chlagu kibli b'shein b'mkuyam. Rabbi Savar moedishtar shikosu tzarech d'chaimoy. If Kayim like Gabi Palga, La chaspa bi'alma hu. Okay. And in response to this question, Rabbi said that Rav Nachman said in the case of a ratified promissory note, everyone agrees that they should divide it. Where they disagree is in the case of a note that is not ratified. Thus, he holds that in case of a debtor who admits that he wrote a promissory note, the creditor is required to ratify it in court to collect a debt from him, and if he successfully ratifies it, the creditor collects half of the required sum, since the two parties are contesting ownership of the document. And if he is not successful in ratifying the note, it is merely a shard, meaning a worthless piece of paper. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. Okay, Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. Sofer modem b'shtar shekosva in tzarach l'kam v'chlaygu. Rabbi Shimon holds that in the case of a debtor who admits he wrote a promissory note, the creditor is not required to ratify it in court in order to collect payment. Since the note is valid and fit for collection, they should divide it. Okay? Epoch. The Gemara answers reverse the way the opinions of Rabbi Huda and Rabbi Shimon are recorded in one of the two brisos, so they are consistent in both brisos. In Bayin Zema, also we could say, and if you wish to say instead, actually do not reverse their opinions. There is no contradiction between them, because the issue in the first bride is not whether a bill of sale must be ratified when the seller admits that he wrote it. Rather, here the Tanaim disagree with regard to verifying. Okay. Ki had Rabbi Yitzchak bar Yosef havi masik bezuzim berab Abba asad kame Rabbi Yitzchak nafka amar pareticha b'nei plani amar le Rabbi Yitzchak v'voy plani v'yidu amar lehu ila asu lo mehemena the Gemara explains it is like this case where Yitzchak bar Yosef was owed money by Rabbi Abba. The case came before Yitzchak Nafcha. Rabbi Abba said, I already paid you the debt in the presence of so-and-so and so-and-so. Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha said to Rabbi Abba, the witnesses you have named, so-and-so and so-and-so, must come and testify that they saw you repay the loan. Rabbi Abba said to Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha, if they do not come, am I not deemed credible to say that I repaid the loan? But don't we maintain that with regard to one who lends money to another in the presence of witnesses, the debtor need not repay him in the presence of witnesses, as he is deemed credible to say he repaid the debt even with no supporting testimony? Amar lei anabahi kishmai said Demar severally Amar Abba Amar Rav Ada Bar Ava Amar Rav Amar lechaver praticha b'pnei ploini u'ploini tzarach shiva ploni va'idu Amar lei Amar Rav Gidl Amar Rav Allah Gidl Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel v'af Rebbe lo. Okay. Rabbi Yitzchak Nafka said to Abba with regard to this issue, I hold like the halacha said by the master, meaning yourself, as Rav says. Therefore, Rav said, if one says to another, if a debtor says to his creditor, I repaid you in the presence of so-and-so and so-and-so, and it's required that so-and-so and so comes to the court to testify that they've witnessed the repayment. Rav said to Rabbi Nafka, but doesn't Rav Gidl say that Rav says that the halacha is in accordance with the statement of Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, and that it is not required that a litigant verify that his stated claims, if his claim is sufficiently strong without those claims, and moreover, even Rabbi Yehuda Nasi did not say